Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you all. And I really, really welcome you all. Good evening to everyone. And thank you very much for joining. And I hope you won't leave here without some benefit. Now, can I just ask everyone to open the cameras just so we can all get to know each other? And I can see all of your beautiful faces. And we'll get started. Assalamu alaikum, Shahid. Aman. Good evening, Colin. Now, just a disclaimer, this is being recorded, so I'll upload it on my YouTube channel. So anyone who misses out can watch it. And also the females, since again, this is males only. The females, if if any of you have sisters who weren't able to attend, they can watch it as well. So no stress about that. And I'll share my screen and we'll begin. Done. You should be able to see the screen now. If there's any issues, send me a message in the chat. And no stress. If you cannot open your camera for any reason, then it's fine. No stress at all. But of course, if you can, then it will be, I would appreciate it. Now let's start. Now, in terms of this webinar, what is the point of this webinar? The main point of this webinar is to show you how you can actually transform your studies, right? How you can transform your studies. Now, this doesn't have to be VCE, right? I know some people here might be doing HSC from different states, right? And even if you're not in VCE yet, even if you're in year 9, year 10, year 11, whatever grade, bro, the main point of this webinar is to show you how you can actually transform your studies, no matter what level you are at now, how you can reach that high level, right? How you can achieve that high ATAR, the 99 plus ATAR. And that's the main thing. So this webinar is going to cover 4 key things. The first thing we're going to cover is the mindset. What is the mindset that you need to have and you need to adopt to be able to get that 99 plus ATAR, right? What things you need to have in your mind to be able to actually achieve it, because that plays a very, very big role. The second thing is going to be how you can study both effectively and efficiently. Okay, so how you can actually make use of your study time and study less, right? You work smart and not hard, right? Everyone's heard of that. But applying that is the actual, key concept here and how we're going to actually apply it. Because you can study for 15 hours a day, bro, and still get an 88, right? But someone else can study only like 4 or 5 hours a day and get 99.98. The point is, how can you use your time effectively? And how can you not only your time, but also your effort, right? How can you study less? And that studying less actually gives you more outcome than someone who studies more. The third thing we're going to cover is going to be what is an ATAR? And that sounds like, obviously I know what an ATAR is, 99 ATAR, 88 ATAR, I know what that is. But what is actually VCE? What's the point of it? How does it work? Right? And that's not going to go towards scaling and anything like that, but it's going to go towards the studying aspect of it. What does an ATAR actually mean in its practical sense, rather than theoretical and mathematical stuff? Not that. But what does it actually mean in practical, in practical life? And how can we use that understanding in our advantage to be able to study effectively? And the last thing we're going to go over is going to be in Q&A, right? So if any of you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to send me a message in the chat. You can send me a message. And at the end of the session, I'll be answering all the questions one by one, depending on how much time obviously we have. That's just a brief overview. And now let's get started with number 1. The first thing, as I said, is the mindset. What mindset do we need to adopt to be able to get that 99 ATAR? And what mindset do the people who get 99 ATAR actually have? Now, the first thing is to have a clear goal and correct intention. These 2 things, okay? So you have to make sure that you have to make a list of what are your goals with VCE? What are your goals with your studies? What are you trying to achieve? What ATAR are you trying to achieve, right? What effort are you willing to put in? That's the first thing. And the second thing is to have the correct intentions. Now, Islamically speaking, guys, correct intentions is very, very important, right? You need to make sure you set in stone, why am I studying? Am I studying to show off? Am I studying to make my parents proud? What's the reason, right? So that coming into that is you can study to achieve ihsan, which is called in English excellence. Study to be the best, right? Not to show off, but just to be the best in you. You know, everything you do, you try your best, right? And that is the concept, which is in Arabic called ihsan. And that is why, the company that I've started, the academy, it's called Ihsan Education, because our goal and our aim is to instill this excellence. It's everything we do, we try our best and we achieve those high marks, right? Not to show off, but to be able to actually, achieve that mindset and also achieve success overall. Does that make sense? That's the first thing in mindset. And every single bro, any guy, any person who gets 99 plus ATAR, they have these things. They have a clear goal. They don't go in blind, right? They don't just start studying and out of nowhere now they have a 99 ATAR. That's not how it works. They have clear goals. They have clear intentions, and that is the first thing that makes up their mindset. Now, the second thing is don't limit yourself. And this is very important in VCE. A lot of people, bro, you would hear them, oh, I can't take biology, it's too hard, man. If I take biology, I'm getting a 20 study score. Specialist maths, not for me. I'll stick to foundation maths, right? That's called limiting yourself. You think, okay, this subject is category hard. Me, I'm category easy. I can't take that subject, no matter what, right? For example, bio, spec, these subjects. This is automatically people, they automatically have a misconception and a preconceived notion that that's it. These subjects I can't do. So what you want to do, first of all, get rid of that. Spec, you can do. Biology, you can do. Right? No subject in VCE is difficult. The only thing in VCE, the subjects, they aren't difficult at all. They are not difficult. The only thing is they require more time. That's it. Okay, specialist, it's not hard, bro. You just need to study a bit more. You just need to spend more time, more effort. But even if you're not that good at maths, you can get good in specialist. You can get a raw 40, more than that, right? So don't limit yourself and don't make your mindset a limiting mindset, right? But make it a growth mindset. That it's fine. I'll take these subjects, right? And I know that I can get high if I put in the effort. But that also consists of the fact that you have to put in the effort. Yeah, that's the second thing when it comes to mindset. The third thing, which is very important again, is you have to know that the results, your results, you want to achieve those high marks. They are not going, they are not going to magically appear, right? You want to achieve 99 ATAR, you want to achieve 50 study score, you want to achieve whatever it is, right? 100 in that next test if you're in year 10, year 9, whatever. You're not just going to go in the test, the SAC, and out of nowhere get 100. That's not how it's going to work. You have to put in the effort, right? You have to actually try and you have to make some sort of plan. It won't just go like, that's it, I go and I'm out, right? So that's another very, very important thing. A lot of people, a lot of students, they think that now I'll study the night before the test and I'll get 100, right? Now they'll work year 9, year 10, maybe year 11. But when it comes to VCE, that's not working, right? You go into VCE biology, chemistry, whatever subject. You study the night before, you're not going to get those marks. So you need to make sure that you put in the effort and you actually try. That's the third thing. And that's the last thing in terms of mindset. There's one more thing which we're going to come back to towards the end. Now, before we move on, let's do this. Does anyone have questions in terms of the mindset? Just so we can have categorically answer questions. So I'll give you guys, let's say like 30 seconds to a minute. You guys have any questions in regards to the mindset of a 99 ATAR person? Send it in the chat and I'll answer right now. And then we'll move on to the next section, which is a lot larger than this section. I'll give you guys around 20 more seconds. Okay, seems like there's no questions. Done. If there's still any questions, again, just send it and we will keep going. So someone asked, there are days where I might not be motivated. How do you push yourself to still study? Now that consists of a lot of things, bro. The first thing is this first thing that I mentioned here, having a clear goal. If you have a clear goal and a clear reason why you're studying, then you're going to get that motivation, right? The second thing, let me write it. Let's say motivation. The first thing is having that clear goal, as I said. The second thing is surround yourself with like-minded people. Okay, so your classmates who are actually studying, study with them. Go to the library, go to one of their houses, spend like 3 4 hours studying, spend an hour kicking back, playing some games, playing some sports, whatever it is. But surround yourself with people who are going to help you in studying. Does that make sense? That's one of the very, very important things. If you're sitting with people who are aiming for a 48er, you're going to end up becoming like them, right? You're not going to want to study yourself. So that's the second thing. And the last thing is what we're going to discuss next. So I won't mention it, but it is making making studying easy for yourself. Making studying easy for yourself. And we're going to discuss that now. Now the rest of the questions, I'll answer them towards the end again. We'll come back to it. Right now, let's continue to what we were talking about. Now that was the first thing, mindset. The second thing, as I mentioned before, is how to study both effectively and efficiently. You have to combine both, not just one or the other. So how do we actually do this? Now, the first thing, and this is the most important, especially at this time, we're in December, right? First thing, start early. Start early. Like if you guys are starting studying in term three, right? This is what most students do. I've seen people do this myself. Exams in term four, they'll start studying for exams term three. They're like, okay, I need to lock in. Term three, let's start. It's too late, right? You can still come back, but it's too late. You're going to have a lot of pressure. You have, let's say, 5 subjects. It's not easy to balance. So start early. Use these holidays to your advantage. You have the whole of December left. You have like half of December left, the whole of January. Use them effectively. If you're going overseas, if you're going holidays, that doesn't mean I'm not saying you study 10 hours a day, right? Study at least like 1 hour a day. That will go a long way. Studying 1 hour, even at least 1 hour a day in these holidays, will give you from now until school starts more than 30 hours, like 40 hours of studying in total, right? That will make a massive difference. Trust me, even 1 hour will make a massive difference. So you need to make sure you're starting early, all right? And you have to preempt, you have to be ahead of the class, right? When term one starts, everyone's starting content. You should already be finished with content for that term. So what you want to do is use these holidays, at least finish area of study one, right? Finish term one's content. So as soon as school starts next year, when everyone's starting content, you're starting preparation for the SAC, you're starting preparation for the test, you're starting preparation for the exam. Does that make sense? You're already ahead, right? So at least you want to finish term one's content for your subjects. That is the minimum you're going to do these holidays. And if you do just that, you'll have such a big advantage that in term one, you can start studying for term two. And in term two, you can start studying for term three. So you'll always be a term ahead. You won't have to play catch up, right? When you play catch up, that's it. Your VC is gone, right? Especially when you're doing multiple subjects. You're doing 4 subjects, 5 subjects. Playing catch up is not easy. It's very, very difficult because you have so much to do. Plus, you have SACs. Plus, you have school for 8 hours. Plus, you have your life. Plus, you have plus, 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 plus. That's it. Too much stress. And then you get overloaded and you get overwhelmed, and that's it, right? So don't catch up and instead start now. That's the first and main tip. Now, the second thing is how do you actually study effectively, right? Like you can start early, but then someone can study 10 hours a day now, but someone starts and he still gets terrible marks. Why? The thing is, you need to make a personal roadmap for yourself. So make a personal roadmap. That's the second thing. What does that mean? Make a personal roadmap. How do I do that? First thing is write down the goals for each of your subjects. For each subject. Let's say you're going in year 11. You're doing 1, 3, and 4 subjects, and you're doing 5, 1, and 2 subjects. What matters more? Obviously, unit 3 and 4 matters more, right? So write down, okay, for unit 3 and 4, I want to achieve, let's say, 50 study score, right? And unit 1 and 2, I want to get, let's say my school requires a B plus for me to continue. So I need B plus for all my subjects. Okay, first thing, that's the first step, done. Second step, how are you going to get that? Right? Like you want to get that, but how are you going to get it? You can't just go in blind. You're not going to find out the night before the exam how you're going to get to 50, Right? You need to start now. That's when you're going to figure it out. So how are you actually going to get that through that 50 study score or that B plus or whatever you're trying to aim for, right? And part of that is study based on tasks. This is very, very important. Not many people mention this actually. Study based on tasks and not based on time. Does that kind of make sense? So instead of saying I'll study, let's say 4 hours a day until the end of the year, don't say that. Instead, when you make a list of tasks, like this subject, I have to finish chapter one, and then I have to do chapter one review questions, and then I have to do chapter two, and I have to do chapter 2.8 questions, for example. Then allocate these tasks to your schedule. Let's say Monday, I'll finish chapter one. Okay, I'll watch videos from Adrola, let's say. I'll finish the 2.8 questions, and then I'll start another subject. Do that, and that's better than saying, for example, I'll study 4 hours. Because you can study 4 hours and get nothing done. There's no point, right? You might study 4 hours and not even get chapter one done. So what's the point of your studying? You're not getting any actual output. That's why don't study based on time. It's a very big mistake. Study based on tasks. Okay, for example, I want to finish 4 tasks on Monday. I'll do this task, this task, this task, this task. And your criteria, your evaluation criteria, have I did the thing for that day? Have I did enough studying? That's going to be based on, have you completed the tasks or no? Not based on, have I did 4 hours of studying, right? Because 4 hours of studying, what's the point? I can study 4 hours and I can get 5 chapters done, or I can study 4 hours and get not like half a chapter done, right? It depends on the person. So instead, the most effective way is study based on tasks. And that's something which not many people mention, but it's something very, very important, right? And a lot of these things that I'm mentioning, they don't necessarily have to be what I've actually applied, right? Just to make that clear. A lot of these things I have applied myself, but some of them I've actually learned from mistakes, right? I used to study based on time, but then I realized that, wait, there's no point. Like I'm just wasting my time. I'm not actually getting anything done, right? Then that's when I learned that you need to study based on tasks. So a lot of these things, as I said, I've actually applied, and other things I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm teaching now to you guys. So you want to make sure, coming back, you make your personal roadmap. So again, first step, write down the goal for each subject. Number two, how are you going to get that? Okay, and number three, make a schedule. Okay, so I have these many tasks for each subject. For term one, I have these tasks. Term two, I have these tasks. Make the tasks for the whole year, bro. And then make a schedule. Okay, I have this much time every single day to study. Let's say I have 2 hours, and then I have to do other things. I have to go to the gym, I have work, I have family, I have to spend time with them, etc., etc., etc. So I have 2 hours every day. So in that 2 hours, what's the main thing? I have one, three, and four subject, let's say. So I'm going to prioritize that. I'll do 1 hour. I'll do this task on Monday, this task on Tuesday, this task on Wednesday, so on. Right? Actually make a schedule. And part of that also is, now let's talk about something, right? Procrastination. Now, who here, you guys can raise your hands. Who here can confidently say that they don't procrastinate? Just raise your hands. One person. Out of how many? Out of more than 20. Two people. Okay. Thank you very much, Kishant and Fadil. Now, two people, is it 2 out of what? 23? Okay, I'll exclude myself. 2 out of 22. Two people out of 22 people can say that they don't procrastinate confidently. Now, that's very tiny. It's a very, very tiny base, it's a very tiny proportion. So the point is that how do we actually limit procrastination? Now, what is procrastination? You're just trying to relax. You're trying to get some entertainment. You can't be bothered studying. You don't have the energy. So how do you fix it? Simple. Make a schedule again. And in that schedule, you have some sort of breaks, right? And I'm not telling you to do, say research these different methods and 5-minute break and 10-minute study. Maybe that works for you. You can do that. But keep it simple. Okay, I'll finish this task. And then after finishing these tasks, I'll take a break of, let's say, 1 hour. I'll go play soccer with my mates, whatever it is, right? But when you have that break, then that will straight away eliminate procrastination. Because now you're like working towards that. You're like, okay, done. I just got to finish this one task. I'm going to finish this chapter, finish these questions. Then I can go take a break, and then I'll come back. So now you're basically going for the break. Does that make sense? So since you're going for the break, you're automatically going to be less likely to procrastinate, right? That's just one method. And obviously, depending on how severe your procrastination is, you have to find new methods. But if you do that, that's a very, very effective method. And another thing is study in morning times. Right, studying early morning, right, after let's say 6, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., studying at these times, obviously I'm talking about holidays and weekends, right? In normal days, you have school time, right? But in other than that, in holidays, in weekends, studying in morning time is a lot more efficient than studying throughout the day. If you wake up at 12 p.m., 12 p.m. or 1 p.m., 2 p.m., you've already lost more than half the day, right? Compare that to waking up at 6 a.m., studying for, let's say, 3 hours, and now you have the whole day to yourself. It's a very, very big difference, right? So you want to make sure you study in morning times. And also, Islamically speaking as well, the morning times are a lot more, they have barakah, which means that you put less effort, right? And you have more outcome. So whatever effort you put, you'll have more outcome just because of that time. So that's the advantage of using morning times to your benefit, right? So don't be sleeping through the whole morning. Wake up 7 a.m. So let's say you study for 2 hours, right? You do, or let's say you study, as I said before, tasks. Let's say you do 3 tasks, okay, and now it's 9 a.m. or now it's 10 a.m. And then now you have the whole day to yourself. Does that make sense? So that's something very important. And someone asked that if you're making a schedule, see, that if you're making a schedule, wouldn't that mean that you're studying based on time? Now, the point of schedule, I'm not saying to schedule time. That okay, Monday I'll study 3 hours, Tuesday 3 hours. No, schedule your tasks. Monday I'll do this task. Tuesday I'll do these tasks. Wednesday I'll do these tasks. Right? Now, obviously, it depends on your commitment as well. If you can only study for 2 hours a day, you're literally like busy the whole day, right? Like really busy. Not that you have to scroll on Instagram or something like that. If you're really busy the whole day and you only can study for 2 hours, then you have to work around that time. You have no option, right? But you can still study based on tasks. You can see, okay, how many tasks can I get done in 2 hours realistically, right? And you still want to make sure that you aim to get those tasks done. And that will give you a very, very big advantage when it comes to actually studying. It will make your life a lot easier, right? So when you get to term one, you already finished term one content, you're breezing through the content, you go in class, everyone's doing content that you've already did, right? So you can just focus on the SACs, studying for the SACs, the tests, right? Whatever, depending on obviously if you're in VCE or not. And you can focus on starting early, and then straight away, once you finish SAC preparation, you can move on to term two content. So it's a lot more effective and more efficient as well than studying based on time. That is the main tips in terms of studying effectively and efficiently. Now the last thing, or the third part, and this is something very important which many people actually don't know, which is understanding what is ATAR. What is it? What is VCE? How does it actually work? Right? Just because everyone's taking biology, should I take biology? Just because everyone's taking, let's say, a vet subject, should I take a vet subject? Just because all my friends are in methods, should I go to methods? Why and why not? That's what we're trying to understand. The first thing which you all need to understand is that VCE or ATAR, whichever one, same thing, is a game. It's literally a game, bro. Like think of any game you play. Okay, if you've ever seen, even if you haven't played it, you've seen it. Okay, any game, how it works, you're trying to rack up points, and the more points you have, then you win, right? Yeah, you're first on leaderboard. It's the exact same system in ATAR. Now, if you get an ATAR, then you know that also get something called an aggregate. What's an aggregate? An aggregate is literally your study scores added up. Your study scores added up. For example, I got a 200 aggregate. Okay, so they added up my study scores, they added 50 plus 50 plus 48 plus 44 plus 4.5 plus 3.9, something like that. And then when they added all that up, they got 200. That's my aggregate. And then based on that 200 aggregate, they gave me an ATAR of 99.6. Okay, so I got 200 points, I got 99.6. Someone else, he got 220 points. So he got 99.95. Someone else, he got 100 points only. So he got like a 60 ATAR. Right? So it's about how many points you can get. And how do you get the points? The points They come from your study scores. They come from study scores. So what am I trying to get at? Well, okay, yeah, there's points. Okay, so what's the point? The point of this discussion is choose the most optimum subjects or the most optimal subjects for to achieve the highest points, to achieve the most points. Okay, just because someone told you to, someone said, psychology is a good subject, bro. It's not that hard. It doesn't mean to take psychology. But imagine you hate psychology, you hate science, right? You're a maths type of person, and go to psychology, and you end up getting like a 35 study score. Instead, you could have took general maths, which is something you would like because you're a math person, for example, and you can get 50 in that, more points, right? Just because someone told you to take biology and you don't like it doesn't mean you go take it. Take something else. Take something that you can get more points, right? If you, for example, so it's unless something is prerequisite, right? For uni, for university, some subjects are prerequisites. For example, if you're trying to go into direct medicine, you need chemistry. If you're trying to go into certain courses, you might need methods. But other than that, choose your subjects based on how many points you can get. Okay. If you think biology is not for me, it's not, I'm not a science guy. I'm more of a writing subject guy. I'll take humanities subjects. Then don't take biology, take history, take business management, right? Because you'll get more points. That's the whole point. You have to get more points, and then all of that adds up to give you more ATAR. So don't waste your time with subjects which are not in your interest and which you actually can't get high in because not because you're limiting yourself, but because you don't have a passion in that subject. You just don't like it. And instead, take that which you like, even if not many people take it. Let's say history. It's not that many people take history, right? Not that many people take software development, for example. I do software development, but every year there's not that many people. It's like less than 1,000, or maybe around 1,000. Compared to English, it's like 20,000. General maths is like more than like 10,000, right? So why did I take software? Even so, like barely anyone in the state takes it because I was passionate about it and I knew that okay, this subject I like it. I like the content, so I know I can do good because of that, right? Why didn't I take business management? I was in business management and I dropped it. Why? Because I didn't like it. I didn't like, it was too much writing. I didn't like the content. I'm not interested in humanities type subjects, so I dropped it and I took software development. And I ended up getting top 10 in the state for software last year, 2024. Top 10 in the state. So the point I'm trying to get at is when you're choosing subjects, choose the subjects that you can get the most points in. Don't look at, just because biology is a smart subject, so I'll take a smart subject. Or chemistry is a smart subject, methods smart subject. No, there's no point, right? Some guy who took like the subjects that are not smart, let's say all these like a lot of humanities subjects, and he gets a 9.95 ATAR, it's still got a higher ATAR than you, even if you take methods, spec, chemistry, bio, you take, all those subjects and you get a lower ATAR. You still end up getting better. So coming back is understand the fact that VCE is a game and treat it like one. And part of that, the second point, is that each subject in VCE, each subject has its own strategy. Has its own strategy. Again, you need to treat VCE like a game. Stop treating it like you're learning something, right? It's a game. At the end of the day, once you do, you're not going to use VCE general maths in like everyday life after you graduate, right? Maybe you use it here and there, but it's not going to be like your daily part of your life. Yeah, VCE specialist maths. You're not going to use specialist maths in your daily life. You're not going to use vectors and I don't know all these complex numbers and root negative one imaginary numbers. You're not going to use that in everyday life, but you need to treat it like a game. Okay, what does that mean? That means, firstly, as I said, each subject has its own strategy. So let's give the example of English. Everyone does English, right? You have to do English. Let's say you're not that strong at English. Okay, me personally, last year in year 11, I got a 50% in my SAC. 50%. It's heavy, right? Unit 1 and 2 get 50%. You're like, okay, man, English, I'm bad at English. What do I do? And then year 12, that's year 11. And then year 12, I end up getting a perfect study score and getting 50 study score. So 50%, 50 study score. How did that happen? Right? It's because I stopped treating English as English. I treated it as a game. How? For example, if you're bad at writing English, I can't write 1,000 words on the spot, bro. It's too hard. I can't go in the SAC, think of 1,000 words on the spot and write it on the spot. So instead of learning how to write on the spot, how to write A plus on the spot, I did something smarter. I learned, or not learned, I memorized an A plus essay. And this is not just I get one from the internet, memorize it, and don't even know what it's talking about. No, I wrote an essay, I fixed it up, fixed it up, fixed it up, fixed it up, got feedback, fixed it up until it's A plus. Now it's A plus. Okay, done. Memorize it. And then instead of learning how to write 1,000 words and in the exam 3,000 words on the spot, I learned how to adapt, how to change, how to manipulate this A plus essay in the exam, in the SAC to the prompt. Okay, so I have one A plus essay. I wrote it myself. It was very, very bad. I fixed it up, got feedback, fixed it up until it's A plus, memorize it, and I practiced adapting it. Okay, how can I change it up? How can I add some words? How can I minus some words? How can I get that same essay to fit to a different prompt in the exam or in the SAC or whatever it is, right? So that straight away is, again, coming back, it's strategy. Instead of learning, which is not that easy, right? For me, for example, I got 50%. I didn't know how to write essays. I was very, very bad. I couldn't even write a full essay. Right, that 50%, that SAC, I literally wrote one page. Obviously, I'm going to get 50%. I don't even know how I got 50. I should have got even lower. I wrote one page and I didn't even write 3 body paragraphs. But then now, instead of trying to, learn how to write a whole A plus essay on the spot, 1,000 words, I did something smarter and I treated it as a game. I learned how to write an A plus essay outside of time, memorized it, and learned how to adapt it. So that gave me a very big edge, and that's one of the main things that that helped me achieve that 50 study score, that perfect study score. That's something you need to understand, and that also doesn't only apply to English; it applies to every subject. Every single subject has its own strategy, as I said. Right? For example, subjects like software, our data analytics, for them, right, or even chemistry, biology. For these subjects, something very important is key terms. So why don't I make a list of key terms, right? I go through past exams, I do past exams, go through exam reports, make a document, so put a heading, topic, okay? And in that topic, I write dot points of key terms, of key phrases, of key words, and then I memorize it. And then when I actually go into the exam, I remember them and be able to regurgitate them on the exam. And straight away, I get so many free marks. You see, it's a lot smarter than trying to, do another method, trying to learn, like memorize a whole book, for example. There's no point. A lot of the stuff in the book is not even it's pretty useless. So why would I spend my time doing that? Instead, I can make a document, go through exam reports, make key terms, memorize it. So it saves time, saves effort, and actually gives you proper outcomes. Right? Memorizing the book, that's just going like aimlessly, bro. You're just trying to memorize the book for no reason. Half of the stuff in the book, as I said, it's not even useful. So that is understanding the strategy. And another thing which is part of that is understanding that exam questions, right? Doing past exams is way more important than book questions. Right? Some subjects, book questions are absolutely useless. Like you shouldn't even do them. Right? For example, software. For example, general maths. Why are you doing book questions? Do exam questions straight away. Learn the content, do exam questions. Maybe you can do 1 or 2 quick questions just if you don't understand the topic. But stick to exam questions, stick to past exams. That's what's actually going to give you benefit. Book questions are not going to benefit you, right? For most subjects. Again, it depends on the subject. That's what I'm saying. But generally, exam questions are more important. So you need to treat it like that. Many people, I know people, literally term 1, they're like, okay, I'm doing 1A book questions, right? And then he's doing 1B book questions. And then term 2 comes along. He's like, bro, I'm on chapter 3, man. Chapter 3A, don't worry, I'm doing book questions. Term 3 comes along now. Term 2 now, term 3 comes along. Okay, I'm doing chapter 7A book questions, bro. Leave me alone. I'll start exams later. And then term 4 comes around. He's still doing book questions. Like, bro, start exams, man. Stop doing book questions. So when should he start exam practice? Someone just asked in the chat, when should he start exam practice? Now, it depends on the subject. Methods, for example. Methods, exam practice, you start from day 1. Term 1, day 1, start exams. So finish content before that. If you're not able to finish content, again, you don't want to rush content that you don't understand. But finish, for example, term 1 content, right? As I said before. And then day 1 of term 1, you start doing exam questions on that specific topic, on term one's topic, right? But you want to start exam questions as soon as you can. For every single subject, start it ASAP. But you still need to plan out for the whole year. If you're starting day one, then you need to plan out what exams are you going to do until the end of the year, right? Or are you just going to run out in 2 terms? When you get to term three, you've did every single exam. What do you do now? You don't want to get to that stage. So you have to plan out and make sure you actually have some sort of plan. You're not going aimless. You're not going cluelessly. Okay? That is the main thing from that aspect. Another thing when it comes to VCE and treating it as a game is realizing that your rank matters. And this is something everyone would have heard of, right? Like, oh, rank matters. But what does it actually mean? Now, rank, it matters more than your percentage. What do I want percentage? Percentage means, like, let's say you did a SAC, you got 70%. That 70% doesn't matter, but the rank that you got matters. Let's say you got 60%, but you got rank 1. Good, that's fine. What happens is, let's make a comparison table. Let's say you got SAC marks and you got the exam. If you were rank 1 in SACs, okay, let's say you got 60%, and then in the exam you ended up getting 90%. VCAA, they will see, okay, you got a 60% in SACs, but 90% in the exam. That means the SACs were way too hard. Let's bump him up. They'll put your SACs from 60% to 100%, right? Just because and a big factor is because you were rank 1. Does that make sense? So that's something very important, rank. If you're rank 3, you're rank 5, that will, like, straight away limit that. Let's say you were rank 5 here. Instead of bumping it to 100%, you'll get bumped to 85%, let's say. Obviously, it's approximate, but you get the point. You're going to get bumped to less. So overall, what's going to give you a higher study score? 100% SACs and 90% exam, or 85% SACs and 90% exam? Obviously 100%. So now your SAC score decreases. Your exam score, decreases, right? So your study score, overall decreases. The point is that rank 1 makes a very, very, very big impact. So you need to make sure that you aim for rank 1. Now, that being said, okay, I'm trying to aim for rank 1, but so is everyone else in my class. So what do? This is the typical response. Typically, students will be like, okay, I want to be rank 1. So do 20 other kids in my class. So perfect. I'll hide all the resources. I found crazy method that no one knows. All me. I'll gatekeep it. Next, I'll not help anyone. Yep. Perfect. If no one knows the strategies, then I have to get rank 1, right? And then they'll go in the SAC, they'll get rank 2. And then they'll be depressed for like the whole term. Like, what? But I hit all the resources, how did it not work? Because your whole strategy is wrong. Right? You failed the first part, which we discussed. You failed the mindset. Right? If your whole aim is to just be better than others and show off, then you're not going to get the good marks straight away. You're straight away limited to yourself, right? So instead of that, okay, I'm trying to aim for rank 1. So is everyone else in my class. So what do? Is it going to help? Does helping others mean that I'm going to get a lower mark? No, I'm still going to get the same mark. So help others. Help your classmates, bro. They don't understand the question, they ask you a question, and help them. Give them free classes, right? Me personally, this year, I gave free classes. We went through the whole data content for general maths. We went through the whole finance content, right? We had classes with just Q&A, completely free. They came, they asked questions, we go, done. English, right? I taught them how to write an argument analysis essay. How do you actually write an A+ essay? What's a good structure that you can use to make it a lot easier for yourself, right? So the point, and did that make my mark lower? No, I got the ducks in my school, right? Alhamdulillah, I got the ducks in my school. The point I'm trying to get at is you helping your classmates, you helping others is not going to get your mark lower, right? Nor is that going to mean that now everyone gets a lower rank and you get rank 1. And even if you do, like, do you really want to do that? Have some morals, if that makes sense, right? Do you really want to just, stuff everyone and get the rank 1? What's the point? Is this, like, it's not that deep. It's VCE, right? It's not, your life's not on the stake. That's the first thing. Second thing is share resources as well. Coming back to the same point. Share resources, help your classmates. And if the whole class does well, then you actually get scaled up, by the way. If everyone does well, then you have more scaling. Obviously, it's an approximation. It's not straight away going to get more scaling. But the point is, if everyone does well, then everyone gets good marks. And everyone gets scaled up. So you want to have that in your mind as well, and try to help others, and be the one that helps others. Be the one that initiates that. Just like for example, you understand the topic and the others don't. Send them a message in the group chat. All right, boys, tonight 8 p.m. Are you guys free? Let's do a free class. I'll teach you guys this content that you guys don't understand. You guys have any questions? Bring them through. We'll go through them one by one. Done. And then 8 p.m. you hop on Discord. Everyone's there. You help them all out. Done. That's how you want to do it, right? You want to have a positive and a good outtake on rank as well. That's in terms of rank. Now, a couple last points is, let's go back up, which is strategies, right? So we discussed the strategy for English, for example, for in one aspect. We discussed the strategies for something like software, data, chemistry, bio. Another strategy, which is for writing subjects specifically. For example, there's English, there's business management, history, legal, psychology, whatever. All these writing subjects. Something that really, really, really matters is do everything. You want to do everything that the teacher says. That the teacher says. Now you may be like, what? That's just glazing the teacher, bro. But it's not. Like, hear me out. Who's marking your SACs? The teacher, right? So if you want to get high SAC marks, if you want to get rank 1, and you write something that the teacher told you in class that's wrong and they don't want you to write, are they going to give you the right answer? Obviously not. So write what the teacher teaches you, write what the teacher wants, write what the teacher wants to see, right? Even if it is, let's say it's wrong. Okay, let's give me my example. When I did software development, I had a teacher who was first year VCE, his first time ever teaching VCE. So he didn't know the content from the study design, like he didn't know study design in and out. So he taught us something which was slightly inaccurate. And I'm like, you know what? He taught it, I'll just go with it, right? There's no way he can cut marks because he taught it to us. So if he does cut marks, then he'll give everyone the mark. He won't cut the marks. So I went, I did it. Okay, another one of my friends, my classmates, he went to the teacher. He's like, sir, this is wrong. The book says this, but you're saying this. How does that make sense? It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. Boom. Marks came out. I got 100%. He got a 60%. Well, what am I trying to get at? Is the teacher's marking your SACs. So if you have to make sure you understand what does your teacher want, right? If you're, for example, writing English, you write in a specific structure, let's say. When you write your essays, you write in a specific structure. But let's say your teacher doesn't like that structure. Your teacher says, no, I don't like it. And they give you bad mark for it. And they like a different structure. Adapt your writing style. Change your writing style for the SACs. Yes, it's fine. Change your writing style just to get higher in the SACs. Because if you write the same writing style that you write, but they don't like it, you're going to get bad marks no matter what. Even if you think it's A plus, you're going to get bad marks. So change your writing style. They don't like this specific word, don't use it. Change your writing style, write in a completely different manner, write in the way that they like. Because they, at the end of the day, are marking your SACs. That's something that not many people can actually understand. And if you can understand that, you already have a massive advantage, right? Because you're now focusing on what does my teacher want. And part of that also is ask the teacher a lot of questions to be able to understand what they want, right? Let's say it's a SAC. You're like, okay, let's say it's a project SAC. Okay, so let's call it SAT. If you're doing that and, I don't know what the teacher wants in this specific criteria, ask them. Take notes of what they say, of exactly what they say, and do exactly what they say. Done, right? If it's, ask them for feedback. Ask them, if you're writing an essay, before the actual SAC comes, write a couple of sample, practice essays, give them to the teacher, so what do you think? And they say, let's say 7 out of 10. So what can I improve? He said, change the structure, right? It's not just about getting good in SACs, but you're also going to learn things. Because at the end of the day, they're a teacher for a reason, right? They know the stuff. So you're going to learn a lot of things. Me personally, for English, for example, let's say I wrote a practice essay, I gave it to my teacher. He said it's 9 out of 10. I'm like, so what's missing? What's that one mark that I didn't get? And he said, fix this. I fixed it. And then he gave me high marks. The point is because I actually learned from him, right? Because they actually know the stuff at the end of the day. And you still want to make sure that you cater whatever you do in your SACs based on the teacher's requirements. That is mainly it. And one last point is balancing subjects. Right, let's say you're doing year 12, you're doing 4 subjects, 5 subjects. I personally did 5 subjects this year. Not easy to balance, right? But realizing, again, as we said before, VCE is a game. We know that VCE has a system where you have four primary subjects and then two subjects which go in your bottom two. That's what's called your bottom 10%, right? And then when they add up the aggregate, when they add up the points, they get the exact study scores that you got here, like scaled. And for the last two subjects, your lowest scoring two subjects, they'll get just 5%, 10% of it, right? They'll just get 10% of it and give you that much as the points that you get in your aggregate. So if I'm, let's say, nearing term three, and I'm like, okay, I can't manage these five subjects, it's too much. But I know that these three I can get high, and these two are maybe not that good. So fine, prioritize these three subjects, get 350s, and the other two, no, don't put much effort in it because it's going to go bottom two anyways. You're only going to get 10%. If you get a 50, you get five. If you get a 30, you get three. The difference is two. Are you going to Are you going to try to get just to get that difference of two? You're going to sacrifice your top four, and instead of getting, let's say, 350s, you get 35, 40, 35. And that 35 to a 50 gap is 15. And then what you missed out on was two. You see the difference? So prioritize your top four subjects. And this is if you can't balance all of them. If you can get good in all of them, get good in all of them, bro. You can get 550s, get 550s. If you can't, you can only focus on a couple. Like I can only get, let's say, three good, and the other two I can't. Then prioritize those three and actually ace them. And the other two, you can put less effort. Even if you get less marks, it's fine. But at the end of the day, you're only getting 10%. That's those three main topics. Coming back, we discussed the mindset, having a clear goal, not limiting yourself, having correct intentions, and putting in the effort, motivation, and we discussed how to study effectively and efficiently, which is starting early, making your own roadmap, not procrastinating, and making it easy for yourself to study, and studying based on tasks and not time. And last thing we discussed is what is the ATAR, what is the VCE, how does it actually work, and I realized that it's a game, and you have to treat it like a game and understand the strategy behind each subject. And some other points, such as exam questions matter more. Your rank matters, but you don't want to make a toxic environment just in trying to get a high rank. And the last thing we covered was balancing subjects. So I know it was a lot. It was a lot of me speaking, but I hope that was of some benefit. And we'll go to the last section now before we end it off, which is Q&A. A lot of you guys have sent questions, so I'll answer them now. And then we'll end it off there. Now, looking at the questions, okay. Who asked first? This wasn't asked first. I can't turn my camera. Okay, that's not a question. Next question. Did tutoring or self-study help you more? I do understand study methods differed in different people. Now, does tutoring or self-study help you more? As you said, the questioner, as you said, that study methods differ based on different people. So that's what I'm saying. It depends on you. It depends also on your strengths and weaknesses. If a certain subject is a strength of yours, you like that subject, you already have a good base. Let's say you're a math person, you're doing general maths, then self-study might help you more because you're already passionate, and you're already strong in that subject, so you can study yourself. But if it's a subject, let's say that you're absolutely clueless, right? Me, for example, 50% English, year 11, I was clueless. So for me in that stage, I didn't know what to study myself. So self-study wouldn't have helped me in that stage. So instead, I took tutoring for English, for example, right? The point is, you have to base it off how you study and what works for you. And the second thing is your strengths and weaknesses, which is something very important. If a subject you're absolutely clueless about, right? Let's say you don't know what to do in general maths, then you can't self-study, can you? Because you're clueless. So you need some sort of structure and guidance. And that's in that scenario, tutoring will help a lot more. Does that make sense? Next question. I'm also trying out for UCAT for med, and I was wondering how you'd balance VCE and UCAT and other commitments such as extracurriculars. Now, the only way to balance that is what I mentioned before. You need to make some sort of schedule and some sort of roadmap. Okay, so you made this is what I'm trying to achieve. UCAT, I want to get this. VCE, I want to get this. I have this much time. I have these many tasks done. So I'll do let's say 3 tasks a day. Okay, I'll do this task on Monday, this task on Tuesday. You just need to make sure you minimize the time wasted. That's the only way. You minimize the time wasted, right? You wake up early, you study, and then once you actually do that, and you be ahead, so you use these holidays. So when you're in term one, you're gonna have a lot more time than your classmates, bro. They're gonna be studying content. You're already ready for the sack because you've already studied content before. So now you have more time to study for UCAT, for example, right? You have more time to spend to your extracurriculars because you've already, that time that people are using now, you've studied that beforehand. So that's the main things that you want to study early, and you also want to be effective. And there's a lot of questions. I hope I can get through all of them. Um, Someone said, I know you talked about English, but since I'm getting really low scores, how can I get best scores for the SAC, for example, where I have to analyze the book? And when do I start exam revision for English? Now, for English, coming back, the main things is you need to learn certain strategies, right? Like, for example, I mentioned the strategy of memorizing instead of writing on the spot. And there's certain strategies that's pertaining to that as well, of which makes it a bit easier. For example, there's something called, let me write it here, there's something called PCS, for example. Some of you might have heard it, some of you might not have heard it, right? But it's a strategy which makes it like when you go into SAC, in 10 seconds, you have the three arguments, 10 seconds, and you have all A plus arguments. So that's a strategy that makes it easier. So the point is, if you want to get better at English, right, then you need to learn these different strategies, learn these different methods, which the raw 50 students use. And then when you keep practicing them, then you'll be a lot better. And when do you start exam revision? To be honest, exam revision, it starts from now, bro. For English, because at the end of the day, for English, you have to write. You can't learn how to write like the night before the exam. You need to start now, and over the year, you'll build your skills, you'll build your vocabulary, your skills, learning the different structures, the different methods. So once you get to the end of the year, all you have to do is just refine your memorization, do some more practice essays, that's it. There's not much, it's not like maths or something that you have to go revise the content, all of it. You know, it's not like that, if that makes sense. And continuing, okay, let's see. Someone said, I don't necessarily get what a SAC is. Like, I know it's an exam, but that's it. A SAC is, think of it as a test. So, if you're in year 9, 10, 11, do you know what a SAC is? It's like you have the exam at the end of the year, which everyone sits the same exam. SAC is what your school makes. Let's say a test. Yeah, you do the first chapter, and the teacher makes you a test. That's what a SAC is. If that makes sense. Let's continue. Um, if I go to tutoring, should I share my tutoring resources with Right, if I go to tutoring, should I share my tutoring resources with those who don't go to that tutoring? That's a good question. Now, it depends on where you're going. If you're going to a tutoring and they have, let's say, some copyright and they say, don't share this specific file or something like that, then don't share it because respect their policies. But if they don't say something like that, they teach you a concept. Let's say they teach you the themes in this book are this. They teach you, you want to make a document, you want to memorize it, and you want to write it. That's not something that they can copyright, if that makes sense, right? So you can go have a free class with your classmates, like, okay, boys, I'll teach you guys how to write a good essay. So you want to use these strategies, you want to use this structure. I learned the structure, you want to use the structure. Right? I learned the structure from my tutoring. The structure is very nice. You want to use these words, these keywords, these vocabulary, that type of thing. You can teach it, it's no problem. And you can share the resources as long as they don't have some sort of policy that stop you from doing that. Let's continue. Regarding studying to maintain a positive mindset and not burn out, how many hours a day should we study? Now, again, that depends on you. Some people can study 10 hours and still not burn out, right? Some people can study 2 hours and that's it. They can't study more. So you have to make sure that you, know your own strengths and weaknesses. And also, as I said before, you can study based on tasks and they'll make it a lot easier in terms of balancing as well and not burning out. Because it'll give you also a lot more motivation because you finish, let's say, okay, done. I finished the whole chapter. I finished 2 tasks today. It gives you more, re-encouragement, positive reinforcement, and it makes it easier to continue. Next, if you were to finish AOS 1, how to study for terms 2's content in term 1, as well as studying for Saxony Rising. It all comes back to scheduling. I can't give you like a generic template. It's just a general answer that you have to make sure that you balance it. You have to prioritize, right? Obviously, studying for that term's Sax is more important than studying the next term's content. So you have to prioritize that. Maybe you can have like 1 hour on Sunday to study for next term's content. So you have to prioritize and schedule it. I can't obviously give specific answer. Next, how did you deal with the fear of failure? What was your lowest SAC score and how much time did you spend with the teacher to like shift to the expectations and achieve high in SACs? How do you deal with fear of failure? Okay. Now, the fear of failure is a very good question, which is you're fearing the future. You're like, okay, what will happen in my SAC? I'm going to fail. There's no point. Can you control the future? No, right? You don't know if you're going to fail. You don't know if you're going to get 100%, 90%, 10%. So instead of worrying about that, focus on now, put in the effort, make some sort of plan every single day, put in the work, right? You have a whole roadmap as we discussed, put in the work. When you get to the sack, you're ready for the sack. That's it. And then whatever you get, you get. There's no like there's no point worrying and has stressing. And if you stress, you actually get lower mark, by the way. The people who stress, when they go into the sack or the exam, they're gonna make more mistakes because they're stressing. They have that subconscious stress. So they make more mistakes, they can't think, and they end up getting a lower mark than someone who's not stressing. So there's no point stressing. And how did you shift to the teacher's expectations? You just have to, as I said, just constantly ask the teacher, sit with them, ask them questions, learn. Because obviously, if you're getting bad marks, you have a lot to learn. So learn and understand um, what they need, what they require, what they like in terms of your responses and so on. So there's no specific time limit for that. You just have to keep doing it until the thing. Okay, it's a massive question. Another question. Do you reckon after learning the content, focus from on your exam question, neglect book questions? Okay, so should you focus on exam questions and neglect book questions or no? Yes, focus on exam questions. The book questions are not useful. They're not that important unless a specific content, let's say you don't understand it fully, right? You did, let's say you're doing methods. You did calculus. You just did how to do integration. You didn't understand it fully. Like maybe a little bit I understand it. There's some gaps. Then do some book questions on that specific topic, just so it consolidates you, just so you understand, right? And then move on to exam questions. But if you already understand, yeah, this is how you do it. Makes sense. Start exams. But again, make sure you prepare from beforehand so you don't run out of exams. Do you have any tips on how to get high for software development? Yes, I do. But okay, software development, as I said before, something very important is making an exam document with key terms. Like a lot of the things they repeat, right? Like I'll give you an example: XML and CSV files in software they repeated nearly every year. You go and pass exams, you find it nearly every year. So make a document. You write XML, the heading XML versus CSV. You write dot points from exam reports. Advantages of XML. Boom, 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 boom. Advantages of CSV. Disadvantages. Key terms that they always use. Right? You make that, memorize it. You make that document for a lot of different terms, for a lot of different topics, based on the whole exam and based on past exams. And that's one of the main things that you need in software development. Continuing, tips for how to start methods early. Do content. Okay, do content. Focus on term one content. Start exam questions. Do past exam questions and spam it. That's it. There's not much to just finish content and do exams. Next, what can I do in the holidays for English to get 90 plus scores since I don't have a teacher to check my essays? Okay, so if you don't have a teacher to check your essays, then you ask someone else. For example, send me a message. I'll check your essays for free. Okay, I don't mind. Send me a message. You have my contact. Send me a message. I'll check your essays. I'll give you some feedback. Send someone else. Ask your peers. Ask your friends who are good. Ask some past students. Maybe someone you know who graduated last year in your school, who got a good ATAR, got a good study score. Ask them. Check your essays, right? Or ask me, right? I don't mind at all. Do you have tips for general maths, especially what to do now and also not make silly mistakes? The main thing, or not to make mistakes, same thing. But the main thing for general maths is you need to get rid of silly mistakes. Okay, the content in general maths is very easy. So you need to first of all make sure you learn content with having no content gaps. You have to have zero content gaps. And then you have to start exams as soon as you can. Do exams the whole year, and that's the only way to get rid of silly mistakes. Right? There's mistakes that you make like 5 plus 4 is 20. The only way to get rid of that is practicing a lot, but something that not many people tell you that there's one more element. You practice a lot, but you have to practice a lot over a long time. So you have to again start exams early and practice a lot until the end of the year. Okay, where can I find methods 1 and 2 content? Where can you find the content? You can find it in the book. The book, again, the book's good for content, but there's no point doing the book questions like excessively, as I mentioned before. But to find the content, you just have to get the book. There's PDFs online. And other than that, if you have the textbook, then you have the textbook. Do your scores in Unit 1 and 2 impact your ATAR? No, they don't matter at all. You just have to pass the subject and get into 3 and 4. Okay, last question, because we're getting over time. There are apps such as Anki that use flashcards. Are these useful, and what subjects are they best for? Yes, they're useful. These flashcards are mainly used for memorizing content, right? For memorizing, retaining content. And they're useful for writing subjects such as business management, health, software development, legal studies, psychology, these types of subjects where you have a lot of key terms, you have a lot of content, they're content heavy, then stuff like Anki and flashcards, they're very, very useful to be able to better retain that content. Now, I hope I didn't miss anyone's question out. There's a lot. I know I still missed a lot of questions, but we'll end it there, inshallah. I know all of you already have my contacts, but I'll send a message in the chat with send it with my number. So if anyone wants to contact me, any questions, if I missed your question here, send me a message, right? Call me, whatever. You have an essay, you want to get feedback, send it to me. I'll give you feedback, whatever it is. And I hope you guys benefited from this session. And I'll be also sending each and every single one of you that were here, I'll send you a recording. The recording is going to be on YouTube, so you can search up on YouTube and right here. You can search up the same name as the Instagram, which is Ihsan Education, and it should come up on YouTube, right? The same logo and everything, so you should be able to spot it. I'll put the recording there, and I'll send you guys the notes individually, and maybe also in the description of the video on YouTube. So I'll stop it there. Thank you very much for everyone to coming out, and I hope it benefited all of you. If anyone has any questions, again, send me a message. You all have my number, you all have my contact, and I'll see you guys again later, hopefully. Take care, guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.